Hey guys, Ningen here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and we are a matter of hours away from the data download for the EZA for STR Gogeta. As soon as that is downloaded and the files have been added to the private server, you guys know I will be bringing you a showcase of that bad boy, Rainbow Starred, as well as talking about some good options to optimize him on your movie heroes or fusion teams. But first of all, we are going to talk about some team building options for crushing his EZA event. Now, I know most of you out there don't bother to go past stage 30, whereas some of us like to see how far we can go, and I feel like this team that I'm going to go through is your best option. Movie Bosses was of course the special team for the Family Kamehameha EZA, and I got to stage 150, I think 4 on that, so pretty sure I'm a reasonable source of information for a good team for this. So obviously JP has a couple more options than we do on Global at the moment, so we're going to cover some very loose things quickly, and then I have picked these 6 units that I think if you have these specific 6 units and you bring this team, you will crush the first 30 stages of this event. So one thing to note is obviously the new Broly has the Movie Bosses leader skill, but he is a physical type. Now in the first few stages it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. Once you get to the last few, especially stage 30, he will get hit incredibly hard. So I would recommend bringing Turles if you don't have, well, if you have him. Obviously if you only have Broly, then bring Broly, and you're just going to have to try and avoid attacks with him wherever possible. Obviously, as you know, with the EZAs, they attack a hell of a lot, so that may not be possible, but he'll definitely get you through the early stages easily enough, even with type disadvantage. Then of course, for some honourable mentions, we do have the LRs. Maybe not Broly just because of his defense, but Bojack we know is a tanking machine. The Metal Cooler Army, pretty good. Obviously they are a free to play LR, but still a good choice, especially in the early stages. Those LR stats will mean that they are very valuable. And then of course Beerus and Whis is kind of the same. They're an LR, so they have really good stats. They won't have the type advantage, so they will take extra damage, and they're super, so they'll take extra damage. So when you get to like probably stage 30 in particular, they will probably get hit incredibly hard. But obviously the Movie Bosses page on the wiki lists everyone in the category. Same for DBZ Space. You can go through these. Obviously you can sort them in the game as well. Pick out what you've got. Units like the Golden Frieza, who will tank regardless of his not having type advantage, very useful. Obviously units that stun aren't going to be useful after, I think it's like stage 10. But then of course EZA Janemba, if you do have him, he was the most recent EZA, he will be very good on this. I haven't included him in my picks because I haven't really had much of a chance to play with him firsthand, because you guys know I main Global. But yeah, if you have him fully EZA'd, and even, I don't think you even need him Rainbow, but if you have Rainbow fully EZA, he will crush. But anyway, let us go through the top 6 picks. So obviously at number 1 we have Turles to be the lead. 150% across the board, not that much lower than Broly, plus he has the type advantage, and of course he is a support unit with that 3 key and 40% attack, and then if he transforms he will take no damage and hit incredibly hard, so he kind of goes without saying. And then what is the Turles on an AGL Movie Bosses team without the Great Ape Turles? So obviously they link incredibly well. I think they share like 5 links for a ton of attack and a ton of key. The reason he's so good, and I think actually 3 units on this list are like this, where they have the old school style of transformation, where they transform into a completely different card, obviously in this case the Great Ape. With the update that we got a while back now, it means while transformed into the Great Ape, he's still going to be able to crit, still going to be able to additional, and he's not going to take any damage. So this guy was one of the MVPs for the Family Kamehameha one for me. So yeah, any turns where you can do extra damage while taking no damage are pretty good. And then he of course has Prepared for Battle, which is very useful for the next unit we're going to cover. So obviously JP now has this AGL Broly, who got an EZA as well. So if fully EZA'd, this guy is an absolute beast. I did a video on him. I'll set that as one of the recommended ones at the end, so make sure to check that out if you haven't seen it. He will absolutely destroy in this event. and he'll link very well with the Turles as well. So not really much to say about him. If you're on JP and you pulled this guy recently and EZA'd him, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But speaking of transformations being clutch, this guy right here, MVP for the EZA for the family Kamehameha, ridiculously good on the Resurrected Warriors or Super types, Super Battle Road, is Tapion. Incredibly good tank, lowers attack with his super. I can't remember which stage it is. I know once you get to a certain point in the EZA, you can't actually lower their attack, I believe. But that might just be in the ridiculously higher stages. I'd have to double check that. But he's never going to hit incredibly hard, but he takes very little damage. He lowers their attack. And then, of course, once he transforms, back in the day, before probably the next unit we're going to talk about, Tapion was by far the best unit when transformed. Like, Hirudegarn is just so much better than any of the Great Apes, especially considering, again, now that they have their hidden potential abilities. If you have this guy rainbowed, then in this event in particular, the Hirudegarn will hit for a ridiculous amount of damage, as well as, of course, taking no damage himself. So while on that category, we probably have, I would say, the new contender for best transformed card of those old types, which is, of course, the new Metal Cooler, the most malevolent clan category leader on JP. I'm going to be summoning like crazy for this guy when he comes to Global. So he, of course, very, very good unit. He also lowers attack with his super, so that's very good. Pretty decent defensively, recovers HP at the end of the turn if he receives hits, which in an EZA you probably are going to have happen. And of course, the best thing about him and the Tapion is they transform once you get under 50% health. So once you get to those higher stages, obviously you can't use items in an EZA event. Once you start taking a bit of a battering, one or both, whichever one you have on rotation first, is going to transform, giving you a couple of turns of free damage. And then if you're lucky, you could potentially get the very next rotation, get the other one out of Cooler and Tapion, and then they're going to transform, and then there's a whole nother 2 or 3 turns of extra damage. So very, very strong. And then to close it up, we have the Agl Golden Frieza. Basically just because, like I said, I like to push a bit harder on the events and go as far as I can. And units that can take next to no damage are very useful for that. So maybe you don't need this guy for getting to 30. You could probably replace him with your next best choice. But if you want to push higher than 30 and see how far you can get, this guy would almost undoubtedly take the least damage of anyone on the team as long as his passive is active. So very good. These are the 6 units that I would say, if your team for this EZA is these 6 units, you will be absolutely fine. And then I've brought up the team builder here just to show you the rotations that I would run. So I would have the EZA Broly on rotation with the Great Ape Turles. They share Prepared for Battle for 2 key, and then Fierce Battle for 15% attack. And then the Golden Frieza with the Cooler, they share Fierce Battle, and then I think it's Strongest Clan in Space is the 2 key link for Frieza Clan. And then you would have the Turles and the Friend Turles as floating supports, as well as Tapion. Obviously Turles, when he comes onto the rotation, if you have the rotation be Broly, Ape Turles, and then Turles on the end, they're going to link up for all these links right here, as well as Turles giving them the extra key. So everyone's going to guaranteed super, deal tons of damage. Same when he floats onto the rotation with these two, they're already going to be sat at 8 key. He's going to put them up to 11, pretty much job done. The only times that the key might be a bit shaky is on the turns that Tapion floats into the rotation. But again, he's kind of just there to mitigate damage in that final spot and then get you the transformation once you drop under 50%. You could even move him into the first or second slot to keep him on rotation once you notice that your health is getting close to that 50% marker. So that is the team that I would recommend. I would guarantee that if you can run this exact team of 6 units, you will crush the first 30 stages of this event. So, and again, you can always check back here, any of these other units. If you don't have Turles or Broly, there is of course the free-to-play Broly from the story event. Unfortunately, his leader skill, not the best, but he is in the category. I don't think any of these guys really have a leader skill that could take over, because they're not all in Pure Saiyans, Giant Form, yeah, Frieza Clan, an AGL nuking leader skill. Probably not going to get you very far in the final stages. So none of them have leader skills that could really take over. LR Metal Cooler does of course have the all like extreme class types. That wouldn't cover Tapion, so you'd maybe have to switch him out for someone else. But he would be a fairly decent fill-in leader, and then just bring the Turles or a Broly to make up the difference as a friend. But like I said, if you are going to bring the Broly, fantastic unit though he may be, can't wait for him to come to Global. But yeah, he will have type disadvantage, so I'll be interested to see what stage you can get up to with him still taking fairly little damage, because he does give himself a pretty decent defensive boost. But yeah, I would definitely recommend bringing the Turles over him. So this is the team I would run. Let me know in the comments, guys, what teams you are planning to bring. If you can actually make this exact team, I'd love it if you would let me know just how easily you found the event. Because like I say, I'm pretty sure you will crush it if you can run these 6 units. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what teams you are going to run. And that is going to be it for the video. So this has been the Masked Ningen. Make sure you follow me on Twitter or Instagram at the Masked Ningen, or join my Discord. The link is in the description below. Yeah. Have a good one.